Okay, so we're going to go back to the resin class because we forgot to tell you that Riley, Garrett, and Millie weren't here because they were at camp for 2 weeks. And but the night of the resin class, Joni, of course, is always the last one to go home and talking. I'm so thankful that she did and was the last one to go home because we got a call that our Millie was being taken to the hospital down the Cape because she had terrible stomach pains. And she had had them all day. And so Joni left to go right to the hospital. And I took a shower and got ready so I could pack a bag and go meet her down there. So it ended up that I stayed up with Millie all night. They found out she did have a bad appendix and that they were going to transfer her to Children's Hospital in the morning. So because of that, she ended up having her appendix taken out. And she came to Camp Grammy and Pepe the next week because the other kids were still at camp for the second week, but she wasn't going to get to do camp. And she was very upset about it. And she didn't get to enjoy camp the first week because she was sick the whole time.
And it was her first time at sleepaway camp.
It was awfully sad. And so then she kept saying while we were at the hospital, "You're not taking me back to camp, are you? You're not," and I'm like, oh, my heart broke. I'm thinking, here, this poor kid, has had this horrible experience with camp. So I said to her, we'll have camp at my house. Well, we had all the resin stuff. So when she started to feel better, I put her in a rolly chair and I just rolled her from project
out in the garage
to project to project. But she didn't feel well because she's just sitting there like, a little lump doing her little things. And but she had fun hanging here for the week, and I really enjoyed her being here and being able to take care of her. So that was a fun thing. And then right after that, I think Clara and Amanda and Teresa came, and they rented a box. Is that what it was called?
I think so.
Room. Well, it was a room. Like we had our own special room, and then like in front of the room there were seats. Like outside of the room, and the room opened up. It was like a garage door,
but glass. So you could either be inside and watch the game, or put it up.
Put it up. So we put it up, and we were all together. We had lobster and clam chowder, pizza, hot dogs, ice creams.
Priorities.
Yeah, in the little
Red Sox camp.
Ditto. And Clara was so funny. She loved the little hats, so everyone gave her the little hats so she could have them.
That was fun.
But it was her first time going to any
baseball
game. Mm-hmm. So she was learning all the things, and she had a blast. And it was the most glorious day. We have these pictures that look like the sky was photoshopped on the other side. Those pictures have all been posted, so you can go back and look at that. But what a wonderful! And Amanda's dad and his friend came, and it was just. And Thayer came from work. He came over, and it was just a great time.
That was fun.
Yeah, so that was a nice time. And then
what else?
I think, then Emma came she was at our mom's house, so she came one night and met us for dinner. We went to Situate, and because Clara wanted to get, clams or seafood. Teresa wanted whole belly clams, but she can't duplicate what she had down in Plymouth, so she wasn't willing to try at another restaurant. So,
gotcha.
But so we had a nice evening there before they left. And then what else did we do? Oh, went to see Grease with Terry and Gail and Millie. And then Rosie, my grammar school friend, Rosie Kelly, wanted to have her bucket list with a twist was she wanted to have a Lassonde pool party. She wanted the Lassonde pool pub experience. I didn't know that there was a package that you could buy the Lassonde pool pub experience.
We did it up right, though, on Labor Day. We really did.
It was really awesome.
We had a huge bash.
So we didn't cook out. We ordered Italian food, so that way everyone could enjoy and not have to spend time at the grill. And we got pastries from what's it called? The bakery.
Yeah. Start with an M.
Montilio's.
Montilio's, yeah.
And Annie, Rosie's sister, came, and all of my cousins, most of my cousins, not all of my cousins, but Rosemary was so excited. She was so happy talking to Nicole and Joe, and it was also like a mini Nashville reunion, except for we didn't have Vicky.
Oh, right. Yeah, but everyone else.
Oh, and then Mark didn't come.
Right. But he came the next night, so he got to see them while they were in Massachusetts.
Yeah. So she was popping from person to person to person to get, her fill of the Natalies, which she missed a lot. And in our younger days, we would all be at Aunt Lillian's, and the Kellys would come over, the Kelly girls we called them, and they'd come over and hang with us, and it was just really a really nice time doing that. And then the next day we went to Queen cover band, and there was it was at the music
circus.
Yeah, I don't know. There was probably about 20 of us: the Fortons, the Rowans, the Litchfields,
the
Glens, us,
Rosie and Barry.
Yeah, Rosie and Barry.
Yeah,
I think that was it, and Mark.
Yeah.
And that was
really
fun. Except for Trish didn't feel good that night, So we can't always have all of us feel well at the same time. I don't know, but yeah, she didn't have that much fun that night. We did, though. Sorry, Trish. That was September, right? That was the beginning of September. So did we do anything else?
Gail came up to visit for a couple days.
Oh, yeah, we did the other resin class. But then Trish and I left and went to Posh Fest in Boston with Pam McAllister. We met her there, one of our eBay friends from our meetup group. And that was very different coming from like an eBay experience to that. They're just like all flitty, I don't know. It was very different. So, and then you guys all did resin class here. Jenny, Kara, Leah,
Colleen, Erin, Joni, Nancy. Susan came for a little bit at the end. She wasn't feeling well.
Yeah. See, there's always one of us.
I know, right? That was really fun, though.
And so that was then, and then Gail left, and she went on a whirlwind tour of Europe again. We live vicariously through her on abroad travels.
Yeah.
So.
But then you went the next day. You went to Chicago for eBay Open with Trish. Was that like a long weekend kind of thing? Maybe it was during the week, because then you came back and went to your 50th high school reunion down the Cape with Rosie on the weekend.
So eBay Open, at the beginning, on the weekend of eBay Open was during the week, but the weekend before, Julie and Chris came out and Trish, and then we did like a sightseeing double-decker bus thing, and then we went on a sunset cruise that happened to be on a bus. Did I tell you that story?
Sunset cruise that was a bus?
Yeah. So
Okay.
Trish, we had a bus cruise in the day, and it was really great. And so then Trish is like, even before we left, she's like, oh, do you think you'd be all right to go on a sunset cruise? Like, it's probably, I go, well, I went on Debbie and Jack's anniversary. We did that this summer on a boat, and it was very nice. It was a sunset cruise, and I was fine. I said, yeah, I'm sure I'd be fine. So she goes, okay. So we're in the room. She books it, and so then we're on the bus in the daytime, and we're like, she asks the bus driver, like, do you know where we go for this cruise? Now, it was the same line that she thought, So he's like, well, it would have to be down at the seaport, down there. So he goes, go to that, there's an information thing. When you get off, go ask them. So we go down, and there's no one in the booth. So then we go across, and we go in the building, and there's a information in there. So we ask them, and they're like, I think you have to go ask them in that booth on the corner. We're like, well, there's no one there. And he goes, well, why don't you go up and ask the bus? So, like, we're getting this, like, run around thingy thing. And so Trish goes, I'll go up to the bus. You guys stay on the corner.
Right.
Like, I don't want to make you walk, up and down. So she calls and she goes, see the blue tent here? I'm going to be sitting under the tent. He said, we need to wait here for a bus to take us there. And so I'm like, okay. Now, this sounds really sketchy to me. Like, we're getting on a bus to get on a boat. Like, why wouldn't we meet at the boat?
Right.
Like, it made no sense.
No, because you weren't taking a boat.
No, so then we're talking to people there. Are you going on the tour? And they're like, yeah. So, all right, we're in the right place. So the bus comes. It's a double-decker open-top bus. And I'm like, they're not sending us a bus like that to take us to a pier.
No.
So...
Also, is there a body of water somewhere?
Yes.
Like a river or something?
There's water right behind the whole pier, like the whole seaport. Okay. So, so I'm like having a very bad feeling. So we get into the bus on the bottom, and Trish is like, you want to just stay down here? Because we're not going to probably go far. And I go, no, why don't we go up top? It's, So we sit down, and then we're sitting there, and I go, we're not going on a boat.
Did they say, like, welcome to your sunset cruise?
No, not yet. So I looked at her and I go, I have a feeling this is what we're on.
Yeah.
Like that we're not going on a boat. And she goes, no. And I'm like, yes. So she's like, oh my God. She turns around. We had been talking to these two women behind us. Are you going on a sunset cruise? And they go, no, we're going on a sunset bus tour. Like, it's an architectural, like it takes you to all the places. And so now the whole, like, we just said dying laughing. And Julie and Chris were like on the other side. Yeah. We're like, this is your boat cruise. She's like, I can't believe I did that. I don't know how she did that.
Yeah.
But that was our cruise. So and she goes, not only we were on the same buses all day. Now we're on them all night. But it really was beautiful.
I bet.
It was beautiful. Because it brought us to all the buildings that we had seen in the daytime at night. And you got to see what everything looked like. It was great. But so we never let her live that down for the rest of the time that we were there. So that really made the whole trip, that we could make fun of Trish for, and then we went to eBay Open, and that was nice. And I helped her. I worked for List Perfectly there at their table. And I met a man from Abington at
Chicago.
Yeah, at the meeting. And it was funny because Chris was making fun of, because they always make fun of how we talk. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, come here, I need you to talk to someone. I need you to ask someone a question. And I'm like, okay, what question? He goes, any question you want. I'm like, okay, that's weird. And he goes, just tell him to talk to you. I'm like thinking to myself, what is he, a puppet?
Right.
Like, what is happening here? Like, I don't understand what's going on. And so I go, okay, talk. And so he starts talking. I go, oh, you're from Massachusetts. And he goes, yeah.
You are too.
I go, where are you from? He goes, Abington. I go, that's where I grew up. Come on. And it was like
That's
just
so cool.
So he came out with us to dinner, and then we went to a tiki bar there too that Chris and Julie wanted to go to, and we had a drink, and there was no seats. It was like packed, so we couldn't stay.
Yeah.
But he hung out with us, and I go to Chicago to meet someone from Abington, and I run a meetup group here. But he doesn't have Facebook. He's not on any of those things.
So
and he just found it from eBay's notices.
Oh.
That's
cool,
right. So we got to meet him, and that was very nice. And then I came home, and then what?
Then you went with Rosie to your reunion.
Oh, right.
Down the Cape. Well, you went to school first, right? To Spelman?
Yeah, so on the Friday morning, I've graduated 50 years from my high school, and they had a golden diploma ceremony and a tour of the school and all the changes that had been made since the time that we were there. And there was a good group of us that got our golden diploma, and they had a nice breakfast thing set up, and then we went from there down the Cape, and Rosie and I stayed with our childhood friend Joyce Kelly, another Kelly, not Rosie's sister or cousin or anything. And we had a great time, the three of us together. And Joyce took us to her favorite restaurant the night before, and we had a nice dinner. And they had like meet and greets at the hotel that we were going to, like the first night, and then they had the actual event was the second night. But Ginny, Rosie's sister, came. She lives down the Cape, so she came and met us for lunch.
Cool.
And then we went back to the house and got ready to go, and we made Ginny come to our reunion with us. She graduated the year before us, so she knew everybody anyways. So, but it was funny because in the pictures, or people would come over and go, I know who that is, I know who that is, I know who's that.
She doesn't belong.
We kind of snuck her in, you know. So, but we had a really nice time, and I took some nice video of that and posted it. They have a web page on Facebook page. So everyone was real happy to have that, and all the pictures that I took. I felt like I was you, doing my job, taking the pictures. So, and I took the last song was the Beatles, In My Life. I don't think that's what it's called.
That was your class song.
That was our class song. And so he played it as the last song, and everyone was singing and dancing on the dance floor. So I videoed everybody doing it, and so posted that up, and everyone really liked that one. So that was fun. Then we came home and went right to Susan's because Benjamin was being baptized. Christopher's little boy, Christopher and Kim. So we kind of popped into the tail end of that. And
that brings us to October.
Well, in October, I don't know if you can tell, but my hair is blue. You see it? It's really kind of all different colors right now. But we had said if I was here and I had hair for the boss meetup in October, where we were going to give out the first scholarship for the Fearless Living Fund, that all the people that were a part of my family would do their hair blue, or a little piece of their hair blue, and because I have green, but kind of blue. And so Jen's friend Erica, who does our hair, came over, and I kind of got freaked out because I felt like my whole head was blue at the time, and I thought I was just getting like a little thing. But Jen was like, "You're not going to fit on the plane from all the compliments that you get. Mark my words, everyone's going to like it." And I'm like, "Oh, what did I do?"
Can I get an I told you so?
Everyone loved it.
Literally everywhere she goes. Everyone. The first person we saw at the airport commented on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And I've got a little blue. You can't really see it on the camera very well. But we're going to do some more next time. You can see it in person better than starting to fade. We need a refresh.
Well, now my hair's really growing, which it hadn't. Mm-hmm. When I got this, I wouldn't let her cut any on the top because I had like no hair growth in the back. And it just was, I just felt like I wanted to push whatever was there down to the back. Because it was not doing well. But now it's all growing. So I think she'll be able to do something with it. But I was just afraid that it would look really weird if I, anyways, yeah. So I was here. So I'm still here, and I get to go to the Boss Meetup group in Las Vegas, where the Blind Center is where we hold it, and that's where I fell in love with the people there, and why I started the scholarship for people that are homeless and blind to be able to have a safe, fair, less place to live. The housing won't be done until 2025, but we picked our recipients based on who I wanted to give them to this year, which was really great. And Gary Nicholson, he touched my heart from the very first time we went to Vegas. He was blind, and he came out and did the Fremont crawl with us. And I can't even imagine, for me in a boot that year, like not a boot, my leg, I struggled walking. And this man is blind, and he doesn't even know what things are coming up in front of him for walking. And I just felt like he was so brave to have done that and to put himself out of his comfort zone, and that's going to be bad.
It's all right.
We got
a motorcycle screeching through.
Yeah.
It's all right.
So he was fearless in doing that, and I just gave him such props. And then he came every year, and he always hung with me, and it was really nice, and he was very interested in what everyone else had to say. And I just found him like to be someone like me, like someone that, like, I would go up to the person that wasn't talking to someone and talk to them and ask them questions and try to make them feel comfortable. And he did that same kind of thing, without being able to walk up to a person, just the people that were in the group around me. He'd start talking to someone and make sure that they were comfortable, and that it was just wonderful. So I just fell in love with them. And then Avanda is the other person who got a scholarship, and it was because of his same type of thing. He greeted everybody. He was kind to everybody. He just took an interest in all the people that were there. And then come to find out, he had been coming to the center since he was 6 years old. He met his wife there. Like, what a wonderful place that is for them. And now they're going to have housing that's right there. But what he got was a telephone scholarship, because the phones are more expensive, because you can't just open your phone and know what you're touching or, poking at. You have to have your phone talk to you or do something. So they have to pay a little extra to get those things on their phone.
I don't know if that's true. I think they just use all the accessibility features that we don't use. But either way, like their phone is way more important to them than it is to us. Like it's literally their only safety, their only lifeline.
But I think they said that there was only certain phones that you could put that on, and it was more expensive to get that phone. I don't know.
Yeah.
But at
we're
the
not
beginning,
experts in the technology
no.
for sure.
But there is a program that they do put on their phone, but from what I understood, it was like,
and it could be things they have to pay subscription fees or something. I don't know. But either way, like they cannot live without that.
It's a lifeline. And so we wanted to pay towards that. So, because they had said it was like $100 a month for them. So we were going to pay half of Evander's for this year. And then hopefully the more the funds grow, the more maybe we can support more cell phone bills and more, like, because we can't get a home for everybody. But if you're living on the street, you need to have that cell phone. And so and our fund also is more open-ended so that if there comes a need, we don't have to do it in October. They can say, someone's come in and they need dental work and it's $500, could you help us? And we'll take each of the cases as they come, because it's all about making them have a life that they can fear less about.
And so we have a whole video on the channel. The folks who videoed the Boss Reseller Remix event shared the video with us, which is awesome. So we gave a presentation about what the Fearless Living Fund is and who it benefits and how we're running it. And then we also did the award presentation so you can see Gary and Evander and hear more about their stories. And then they both spoke after they won their award. So it was a really cool event.
Yeah, I think we took Gary's words away.
Yeah.
But
it was still very touching. You could just see how grateful he was.
We had a Zoom with the people from the Blind Center a week later, and Ryan had written out the first check for Gary's rent. And he said, you should have seen him. He was just beside himself. I
can't imagine. So Gary got, I think it was $600 a month towards his rent. Like, that's real meaningful money.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
Well, it's $7,500 for the year, so divided by 12, I think it was like six or $650 something. Anyways, I'm not doing math on the fly, but that's not an insubstantial, amount of his monthly bills,
right? So it's just. And they had no idea that this was happening. And so now, I guess, everyone's lining up and saying, what do I have to do to get this? And what, and I said, did you tell them the only qualification is you have to be nice to other people? Like, be kind. And that's really, this world would be a much better place if we all were nice to each other and helped each other. So.
For sure. What else?
I don't know. Did we do anything after that?
Yeah, we took a red eye into New York for the weekend.
Oh my God! Yes, we did. We went to the we. Oh my goodness! No wonder people think I'm crazy.
You are crazy.
We flew overnight to Hartford, Connecticut. Yeah. And Liz and Riley came to pick us up to take us to the Sheep and Wool Festival in New York. And we get our bags and we tell them where we are, and then we get a phone call. I think we're at the wrong airport.
What airport are you at? Riley's like, they must have taken a very tiny plane. They were at some sort of very small private airport.
I think it was like a FedEx airport or like a package airport or something. I don't know.
They were only like 15 minutes away, but still. We're like, we got a coffee. We'll be here.
We're fine. So they picked us up, and then we went to one of the first event. It was raining, like pouring when they picked us up. And so Jen's like, and we've been flying all night and haven't slept. And so Jen's like, we don't have to go to it. I go, well, why don't we drive? If it's on the same place, like on the way, why don't we just see? Maybe it's stops raining by then, and if it does, we go. If it doesn't, we say, see ya, and we leave. And so when we got there, it was all muck, and we're driving the car through, and then the
skies just opened up, the clouds parted, and
it really
the sun
did.
almost tried to come out.
Liz
for like a minute.
has on the video, like there's like, and then so there was this one spot to our right. I'm like, Liz, take that. And then we were in the tent, in the building looking out, and I see the sun on the top of the trees, and I'm like, you need to go out there. She goes, oh my goodness. She's out there. She didn't come back for a while. She probably got a lot of, but it came out just for us. And so we were able to walk through the 2 buildings, and that was Riley's first taste of the event, which starts the night before.
Yep.
And then
we went to the Wool Festival Saturday and Sunday, and out to eat Saturday night in Hudson, which is the town where we had our Airbnb. So it was a whirlwind weekend.
And then Saturday, really one of the best things that happened was Jen had her meet and greet at the beer tent.
Oh, yeah.
And so she, that's where all her followers that listen to her podcasts or her YouTube things or whatever, they come and meet you. And my daughter is so thoughtful of other people. There's this beautiful spot. It's up on a hill under this most gorgeous tree. And every year that's like where the meet and greet was held. But she was like, and I think because of me and my walking issues, but more for other people, she was like, I just felt like it was really limiting for other people. Like, if they can't walk up the hill, then they're not going to be able to meet me, and I don't think that's fair. And so she moved it to the beer tent. I said it was for me because,
we're usually at the beer tent at 2 o'clock anyways, so, and it was more accessible. It all just, because I knew, people with, mobility scooters and stuff like that, you can't get up the hill. You can go to the bottom, or there's a path up at the top, but everyone hangs out in the middle. That's not any fun. And
so one of your friends did have one of those scooters. She was so cute. She had a half of a sweater on. There's a whole group of people that knits the show sweater or something like that. And I sound like I know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, no, don't. So
their whole house used the same pattern and bought similar yarn and made coordinating sweaters.
Yeah. So
they don't all finish.
But they don't finish. So hers was just under her boobs. It was all curled up. So some people have them with needles still in them, and I think Lauren still had needles in hers.
She didn't have needles, but I think it was on waist yarn or something. Yeah. Because it wasn't finished.
And so
tell that story.
So the best part of this was Jen and Riley got to meet their cousin that they had never met before. And it was Richie and Charlotte, who we went to see in Florida, their daughter. Now, Lauren lived in Amsterdam for 5 years, I believe. Mm. And so...
And now she lives in Seattle.
But she had been talking to her friends about, going to this, and that her cousin goes and she's a knitter and all of that. And so I think 5 people came, but we only met 2 because they were at different places.
I think we met 3 of our friends from Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm. Oh. And so 3 people from Amsterdam came to the meet and greet, and Lauren. Yeah. And we got this beautiful picture. I'll have Jen post it. Mm-hmm. They look so much alike. Riley, Lauren, and Jen have Lauren and Jen even have the same teeth. It's ridiculous. But it was great. Fun. Yeah. And she's a sweater designer, and she's designed for magazines, So she got a bunch of test knitters out of Jen's group. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So they're all excited to... She had her sweater that she designed, but like Jen said, it had some not finished bits.
Yeah. The bottom hem, I think, still needed to be buttoned up.
Yeah,
but-
because someone was complaining that they had pins or something, and she's like, well,
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
You know, not to be outdone by not being done. And also, someone from Seoul, Korea also came to see Jen.
Yeah.
That's
really
freaking
fun.
crazy. You know?
Yep.
I mean, we've had people from Australia, London, you know, to come and meet my daughter on a hill. Well, now we meet at a bear tent. So, very special.
It was fun. And we took vlog video that weekend too. So those videos are on the channel. If you want more sheep and wool action.
Yeah, it was really nice. Charlotte
good.
her mom didn't get to come because she got exposed to someone with COVID and she didn't want to bring it up to me. So that was unnecessary. She could have come because we're outside and I wish she would have come, but it was too late.
It's wild though,
then.
because you know, COVID's bubbling up again. Not a lot of people, but several people we were with in Vegas got COVID. Several people that we saw at Rhinebeck, we found out the next day got COVID. And thankfully, we did all right.
Yeah.
So.
And then we, one of the vendors from the Sheep and Wool Festival,
her booth is called Stitch by Jess Lou. Is that what you're going to talk about? Yep, Jess.
So she messaged when we got home, and she said, you know, I would like to donate a portion of my proceeds from that. We're going to, what was the name? Oh, we don't know the name of it.
No.
New England?
Fiber Festival of New England.
Fiber Festival of New England.
Yeah.
And that was in Springfield. She said she would like to donate a portion to Fearless Living. And would that be okay? And of course, Rick said no, it would not be okay. Of course it's okay, you know? And so Jen and I went out there. That was, I think, our last trip. And that was very fun, actually. Very fun. The ride was fine to Springfield.
Yeah.
And
it was a cool event. There was a lot of vendors, some animals and things.
And the nice thing
was to get around.
It was all in, like at Rhinebeck, you go like in a barn, then out through the air, and then in another barn, and then out, you know, maybe out quite a ways outside. But this was, everything was inside. Yeah. Like all the buildings inside were connected somehow. And so the animals and the vendors were on this end with the bunnies and the alpaca and lambs, and then in the middle was like food. All the food trucks that you would have like at a fair were there, and then tables, and then all the vendors there. And then on the other side was where they did the sheep sharing, and all the demonstrations were done on. And then they also had classroom area that we didn't
sign up for
anything, but that was, but it was all within that same building, so it was all comfort, you know, like comfortable.
Yeah, it's not like hot and cold inside, outside. Yeah, it was a very cool event. And we just heard from her last night that she donated $350 to Fearless Living Fund.
So sweet.
Very cool.
Yeah. So we have another Dirty Diane.
Yeah.
So, and I think, we got to end on the scans, because when we came back again on October 12th, no.
Well, you had your scans before we went to Vegas, but we didn't get the results until we got back.
Right. And from what I understand, my husband cheated and looked.
Sneaky sneakerson. We usually agree if we're going to look at test results in advance of an appointment or not, and we all just agree to either look or to not look.
But to be honest, Jen and I didn't have 1 minute to look.
We really didn't.
We didn't have. Oh, her boss gave us $1 to gamble. He's a big spender, and
that was the only time we sat down.
We're on the last day, and I said to her, "Okay, we have to be strategic about this, because we have either on our way back from the class, before we get dressed in our costumes, we go, or once we're dressed in our costumes, we go down and we And we were the Sanderson sisters. Oops, I'm hitting the table. Sorry. So we decided that we were going to do it on the way in. Just get it done.
Which was a good move, I think.
Yeah. And so we found a Wizard of Oz machine. That was pretty cool. And I proceeded to lose $40 in like 2 seconds. And Jen,
I lost like 4, including George's $1.
Yeah, so
that went quick.
We weren't even there 15 minutes. So that was the
extent of our gambling.
Yeah. So we had no time to look at test results or any of that stuff. We went from minute to minute to minute to the next minute. So he's like, when I got home, he's like, well, look at him. I go, I don't know, because like, I don't know if I take something the wrong way and then I think something's worse than it was or whatever.
Which is often what happens. Like the wording on the results always sounds terrible. And sometimes it's terrible, but a lot of times we say, oh, but what about this one line? And she's like, I'm not worried about that. And we're like, we've been stressed about it for a week.
Right. So I agree. I didn't look until the morning of, and he printed out the things. And so I just read it and then I like underlined like 2 of the things. So I had them with me when we went. And the scans were the same.
Stable.
Again, it didn't grow. So, and then I had to have my Zometa again. But this time I was very, very, very afraid because I had the 2 reactions to an infusion.
Not to Zometa, but yeah.
And so I, was nervous about it. But I went and I had it and I was fine. And it was in the hospital, so it made it, a little easier. But I had gone out with lunch with my 2 nurses, my 2 Kathys and Jen, and we told them about all what had happened with our infusions and all the trouble, and they were part of the first one of the Kathys were, and so they said that the new medicine that they're going to put me on, that very, very few, they probably could count on a hand, like people that react from that.
Yeah.
So I just have to have faith and be fearless like I ask other people to be, and just do it and know that I have all the right people there looking out for me. I am going to message my 2 Kathys to make sure one of them's going to be there that day that I go, and my cousin Joni, sucker for punishment, is going to take me.
Excellent. And I'll try to get there earlier this time, just in case we need reinforcements.
I'm like, Joni, you're sure you don't really want to do this? And so, and then really the only things that plagued me this whole year, besides the little illnesses back and forth that we've told you about, is I've had a racing heart, that my heart rate would go, like yesterday it happened to me, went to 179 out of the blue, and then takes 2 hours for it to come down, and so I can't do anything. And that happened to me a couple of times during the summer. I'm not quite sure what that's from, but just have to wait it out. And then the other thing is I get infections on my mouth, inside my nose, and under my eyelids. They're all 3 different types of infections. And then my other thing is still my fingernails. But the hands and the toes are way better this year than they were last. So, I mean, I feel like all of the things are minor, in comparison to what I could, and I still get the sores in my mouth, which those, that's
probably the worst of it.
Well, like when we were in Vegas, I had like a whole row on the bottom, and then I woke up in the morning, I come out to Jen, I go, I had my Botox treatment. She's like, what? And she looked at me, she goes, oh yeah, you did.
Because like puffs up.
It was
on one
like
side.
all like underneath the top, so it makes your.
It looks like you got some filler.
Yeah, and then I have the so I have from Prednisone. I have these lovely big fat cheeks, and this big fat middle going on. And like it's when I had the Zoom with my rheumatologist, the first thing she said was, "Oh, prednisone face." I'm like, "Oh, thank you so much." But other people say they don't notice it. I notice it. I don't like it. Can't wait.
Yeah. But you will be tapering off of the
Yeah.
prednisone.
In
'cause you're gonna
January,
have
though.
your-
It's going to be a while.
Yeah. And then when are your next set of scans?
So, not till January.
January,
3
yeah.
months, she said,
Yeah.
this time. That makes me a little on edge, but
But obviously, if something changes,
Yeah.
we'll let her know and they will rearrange things. But,
yeah. So,
yeah,
it's
pretty
that's
crazy.
after Christmas. If you didn't realize, January comes after Christmas.
That
And
is how that works.
Yeah, and my scans are then.
Yeah.
So,
Another Christmas, here we come.
yeah. And as my poor
Pretty
mother
cool.
said, she has to buy me a present now.
Add her back to the list, people. She's going to be here.
I really don't need a present. You can donate to my fund.
Yeah.
But I was laughing. My mom, you know, she's going to add me back onto the list. So, anyways, so that's a lot. We just gave you a whole lot in probably 2 or 3 different segments. I don't know how you're going to break this stuff into.
It's all good. We'll figure it out in editing.
Yeah, and in the middle of all of these things, you have like all the other stuff you guys don't see. Like we had a palliative care Zoom in the middle of this call. Like every day there's something. So when I say like, oh, I have one day that I have nothing and I relish it, it's because every day is usually filled with something, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes the some things aren't good some things. So,
Yeah.
you know, not like when all the vacation things. But even those, you heard, like even those aren't
Not perfect.
always good either.
Yeah.
And thankfully I have cousins and family and friends who don't care that,
Yeah.
you
You
know,
just
they
make the
just,
most of it.
yeah, just
Yeah.
keep going and keep on moving on.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you all for watching. We'll post links and things down below and all of that good stuff. If you have any questions or comments, comment down below and we'll be sure to answer them.
yeah.
And we'll
But
maybe
for now-
do this again not 9 months from now.
Yeah, yeah. So now we're living, I said last year I was living on the 2-month plan. So now I'm living on the 3-month plan.
That's an improvement.
So that's good.
We'll take
I don't
it.
know how I got an extra month out of there, but
Sounds good.
there we go.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.